ready to go. But first... Alright, so good evening everyone. Today's vlog is a little bit different. Very hot day. Everyone's a bit tired. Today I'll give you my honest review book that I recently picked up called Sycamore Row. It is written by John Grisham. Really love this book. Once I finished reading it, my first thought was people gotta know about this book. So that's why I'm making it today. In this video today, and this is my honest review. Where do I start? The theme of this book is a law fiction book based off of the main principles in a courtroom, all the terminologies in there. These cases that these books are written about, they're not based off of real ones. All the terminologies and the rules that apply in the real world are applied in here. This book is written by John Grisham, who ironically was a Mississippi lawyer. This book based in the same place, same setting, which is Clanton, Mississippi. This book itself is actually part of a 3-book series. The second book is the first book before Sycamore Row is actually A Time to Kill. The most recent book, A Time for Mercy. And I have actually gone A Time for Mercy and I have finished that one too. Stay tuned for a review of that. Now, this is Sycamore Row for you. Before I begin, a little bit of a disclaimer. This book contains elements like mature elements, suicides of a sexual nature. If you at all find any of these disturbing, by all means, feel free to click out of this video or skip ahead. I am very mindful about all those topics, and that's why I am letting you know to begin with. This book may be triggering some racism as well, because the story of this book is written in a time where racial discrimination was culturally acceptable. So I'm also very mindful of that. But other than that, this book is really good, and I think you'll also really like it too. So, how I first got a hold of it is that there was one time where I was just bored out of my mind because I had nothing else to do. So I remember in our cupboard there's a plastic box of a bunch of books from our old house. I was looking through it to see if there was anything interesting. This book just popped up in my hands and I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'm kind of bored already, so this won't do much. Just by reading like 2 pages, I immediately fell in love with it because it was so interesting. I really like those kind of books where you can just read a few pages and automatically you're glued to it. This is the blurb. Jake Bridgens, or Jake Brigance, is back in the gripping sequel to the world's beloved thriller. As a child, Seth Hubbard witnessed something no person should ever see. When he kills himself, he is a rich old man. At that moment, his revenge begins. Disinheriting his wife and children, he leaves his vast secret fortune all to his housemaid. And in a town full of vultures, he appoints the one lawyer worthy of his trust, Jake Brigance, or Jake Bridgens. It's up for debate. Now Jake must defend the will, whatever the cost. This person named Kent. Sorry, there are birds in the background and they do not know how to be quiet. So he even made it a point to write this at the bottom, that someone called him the best thriller writer alive. You know what? I think in my opinion, that person is true. I think of thriller, I think of John Grisham. It is about a character named Seth Hubbard, and yes, his childhood was very rocky and quite traumatizing for him and his brother named Ansel Hubbard. What happens is he is also diagnosed at a very late age of, I think, 98. He was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Pain had just gotten extremely terrible, to a point where he couldn't even bear it sometimes and he was not able to take care of himself. But because of the pain, so facing the end, he had decided to hang himself. Before hanging himself, he had actually written very specific instructions about what his funeral was going to be like, what his will is going to be. Before this event took place, he actually written a prior will which gives everything to his 2 adult children and the grandchildren. However, before he had done what he had done, he had written a new will which had given virtually everything that he owns to his housemaid. No one would really be in favor of this because the housemaid was a person of color. In these times, around 1990 to 1980s or even to 1970s, racial discrimination was tolerated. A lot of people were against her. Throughout the book, there's a lot of debate of how it is that she got everything in his will, whether they had been doing stuff, or she had convinced him, or he may have not been the one to write the will, and that she had actually written it and traced Seth Hubbard's handwriting. That was pretty much up for debate. Now, this is where I'm gonna get to my favorite part. This character, Jake Brigance, again, up for debate. I call it Brigance, so I'm gonna call it Brigance, but you're free to call it whatever you like. This character, Jake Brigance, is the main character in all three of the books, and he is a local lawyer in this town, Clanton, Mississippi, Ford County. The thing that kind of made his name very iconic is that in the first book with Jake Brigance, in the first book, it was about him defending a case against another person of color that killed two men due to sexually abusing his daughter. Basically how his name became very known, whether it be in the books, to the public, or actually inside the story itself. Managed to get the full verdict that the man was innocent and that everything that he did was justified. Since then, people have just known his name. One day when looking through his mail, he gets these two yellow envelopes. So he takes them to his office, and that is where he finds Seth Hubbard's funeral instructions. 2 is his new will that he has drafted, and a letter personally to Jake. I think what's really interesting about this is how this old man, very close to death, had, even before doing his act, he was so specific in exactly what he wanted. And throughout this book, as I've said, it's kind of for debate whether he was mentally stable to write this will, or if he wasn't, if he was seduced, or if he was persuaded. But in my opinion, like, he was extremely specific. So basically what this entire book consists of is this lawyer, Jake Brigance, defending this will. Anyway, the housemaiden who everything in the will is given to, his name is Letty Lang. And eventually her oldest daughter, named Portia Lang, who had just gotten off of the army, starts working for Jake in order to help her mother get the will. Besides Jake Brigance, there are also other characters who are also very iconic in the 2 other books. A lady named Carla Brigance, which is Jake Brigance's wife, Hannah Brigance, which is Jake's daughter, and along with his friends / workmates, which are Lucian Wilbanks, who is kind of like his mentor almost, and he was the one who passed down the firm to Jake's. Harry Rex, who is a very close friend of Jake's, as well as 2 court judges, which is Judge Reuben Atlee and Judge Omar News. These are like the main characters throughout the entire series, so if you were to read one book and then read another, these names would not be uncommon. What I really like about this book is, for one, I didn't expect that I would like it at first. When I first picked it up, I first just thought, I'm kind of bored, so maybe this will just give me some temporary relief of that boredom. In a way, I kind of like these kind of books that have very mature topics in them. I think they're just more interesting to read, and there are some pretty big vocabulary inside the book, so it's really helped me learn what this law terminology is and what it means. It really does make me feel like a mature person being able to read these books. That is pretty much my honest opinion about this book. I would rate this 5 out of 5, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone, especially a teenager like me. I'm not going to tell how it ends. I'd rather let you buy the book and you to figure out yourself how the story ends. No spoilers here, do not worry. I hope you all enjoyed this little book review video. This is, again, my channel, Rohan's Life. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys, love you all. And also, before I leave, I wrote this on my board to get into the mood. That's it for today, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya!